Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is going to be a really short and sweet one, and we're going to talk about how to build a project that actually gets you hired. A project that hiring managers cannot say no to. If you're someone who have been struggling with building out your analytics project, your data project, your AI engineering project, make sure you watch this video to the end because we're going to dive into how to build out your project. The first thing I want to talk about is why you actually need a project. There are many ways to go about your job search or showcasing your skills as a freelancer, but one of the benefits of going the project route is that people can tell that you are not a fluff candidate. There are so many people who are online who are saying that they can do things that they cannot do. How do you stand out? You stand out by building an outstanding portfolio that shows all the projects that you've done. Nothing says I know my stuff like a portfolio and a project. So if you can put together a really good portfolio and a really good project, you're going to be a rockstar candidate, you're going to stand out, you're going to be the one that gets the interview. So let's dive into how to do that. The first step is really to figure out the platform that you are going to host your project on. Now, this is where a lot of people struggle. A lot of people don't know how to host their projects. You can do a website portfolio or a website project. That's one way to go about it. You can do the no-code portfolio or the no-code projects, which are tools like Canva is a really good one. There are so many tools now. You don't need to know HTML like in the past to build a website portfolio or project. You can use Canva, you can use Notion, you can use GitHub. These are three solid platforms that you can use to host your project or your portfolio to showcase that you know your stuff without understanding any kind of HTML. Now, I would recommend each one of these platforms depending on your technical expertise. If you don't have a lot of technical depth, you're doing something like analytics, something that doesn't really require any use of Python or Git or version control, like a lot of coding, I think Canva is a really good way to showcase your skills, especially for people who are not in heavily technical roles. But as the technicality of your role begins to increase, you start to move to tools like Notion. Notion is really good. But if you have a lot of code, people that are in engineering, I definitely recommend GitHub for your projects because you don't want to host your code on things like Notion or Canva. You want to host your code on something like GitHub. So now that you know where to host your project and portfolio, let's dive into strategies that will help you make your project and portfolio irresistible. The first one is the data set or the choice of the project that you use. I'm going to use data for an example. In this case, is that when it comes to a hiring manager in a specific industry, if you're working on a data project, I would highly recommend that you choose a specific industry, choose data from that industry and solve the problem of that industry. The reason why this is so important, and a lot of people fail here, if they see that you already have knowledge of their problems in that industry, it makes you a better candidate than those that don't. One of my mentees who is interested in the sports industry worked on a project where he's trying to predict the winner of, I don't know if it's FIFA or the World Cup, one of the competitions happening next year. He's trying to predict who the winner is going to be. I think that that is an amazing project to work on because he wants to work with sports analytics and he was able to showcase that he understands the sports industry perfectly. If I was hiring for a sports analytics role, he's going to be my number one candidate. So these are strategies that help you stand out from all the noise in the job market. The second thing is your tool choice. You have to make sure that you choose tools that are very much acceptable in the industry that you are trying to work in. Now, for industries like energy and like some very niche industries, they have specific tools that are just like the industry standard. Even if you get a certification in those tools, I still would recommend that you choose those specific industry standard tools for your project. This is not the case for a lot of industries. There are a lot of industries and companies that make choices of tools based on what they just want to use, like especially in the data space. Like you see a lot of the data tools are like Excel, SQL, Python, but there are still some industries. I know energy has some specific tools that they use in that industry. The government as well has some specific tools that they use in the government. So just do your research to figure out like the tools that they use in specific industries that may not be the mainstream tools and leverage those tools to build your project. The third thing is the question you are solving with your project. Don't come and solve a generic question with your project. You want to answer questions that actually show that you understand the industry, that show that you understand the pain points of those industries, that shows that you can go the extra mile in that industry, right? Don't just answer like a very generic question. Even if you get the data set, go into the nitty gritty, like dive into the data set. Dive into data sets would help you stand out from other candidates that just do surface level work. What I would recommend is to dive into the industry, answer the right questions, and do the work that is required. The last tip is the way that it's presented. I've seen a lot of projects and portfolio where they're asking the right questions, they have the idea, they've done the work, but it's just scattered. There's no visual appeal. Visual appeal is also something that is very important. The way you organize your project, the way you handle your project, it's also really, really important as well. Because if you do not do a good job with putting that information together, even if you've done the work, it may not translate well with the person who's receiving it. You want to make sure that it's organized, you have headers in the right place, you have your photo in the right place. If you're part of my community, I do have a lot of templates that I share with my mentees as they build their projects that can help them to ensure that they build a really solid portfolio. For everyone that I do train in my program, you leave the program with a portfolio to showcase that you know your stuff. So if you're interested in learning with us, don't forget to use the link in my bio to join my newsletter. But the last tip is certainly organizing your project and your portfolio in a way that shows that you understand what you're doing and you know your stuff. So that's it in this video. If you made it this far, I hope that you've gotten some nuggets that can help you build out a portfolio that helps you stand out. If you're interested in tech, data, and AI, do not forget to use the link in my bio to join my newsletter. And as always, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.